sorry we started a little bit late, but thank you all for coming. So I'm just going to start with a quick invocation, a quick Mangala Charan, and then we'll begin talking about Banda Singh Bahadur, today's topic. Firat Prabh Aaya, Arya To Sarnai, Nanak Ki Prabh Benati, Apni Bhagati Lai, Sagal Dwar Ko Chhad Ka, Gahe Taro Dwar, Bahen Gahen Ki Laj As, Govind Das Tuhar, Bahen Gahen Ki Laj As, Govind Das Tuhar. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, Gaju Aj Ke Fateh Parwan Karo Ji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So first of all, thanks to the Singhs and Sikh youth for having us here today to do a talk on Banda Singh Bahadur, the first general after Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, and the one that proclaimed Khalsa Raj for the first time within our Sikh history, within our Itihas. So recently we remember the Shahidi Purb this week, and Shahidi basically means a martyr, so that when Banda Singh Bahadur gave his martyrdom for the Panth and for the cause that was started by Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj themselves, the cause of Sikhi, the cause of sovereignty, the cause of righteousness. So whilst we're going through this, we were going through a lot of history, about 5 to 6 years history in quite a fair amount of detail, but I would have missed out loads because simply the sheer amount of things that happened within that time frame is impossible to cover within 3-4 hours, let alone an hour. So this isn't the be-all or end-all, there's a lot more than this, but hopefully this will give you a small glimpse, a small taste of what the history is like and the great Jarnail, the great Guru Sikh that Banda Singh Bahadur was, along with the Sikhs that were with him at the time. And also, throughout the talk, please feel free to put your hand up and ask a question. I'm not as scary as I look. Okay, so the first Khalsa Raj, Banda Singh Bahadur. So we start off just with a small introduction about Banda Singh Bahadur, who he was and kind of how he came into Sikhi, as we've all got our own stories how he came to Sikhi. Banda Singh Bahadur's is quite a special one. So his early life. So many of you may have heard this before, and apologies if I'm going over it again, but hopefully you'll pick up something new. So Banda Singh Bahadur was born in October 1760, quite a while ago now, and he was born in Kashmir to a Rajput family. The Rajputs at the time were the second caste within the Hindu caste system known as Kshatris, and that's like a warrior clan, a warrior lineage, very good warriors, very good soldiers. And his father was Baba Ram Dev Ji, and as I said, he was a Kshatri. So from a very, very young age, Banda Singh Bahadur was trained in martial warfare. He was trained in how to use a bow, how to fight hand to hand, and how to kill an enemy with precision. And initially his name was Lakshman Das from birth. So Lakshman Das was out one day, as you can see in the picture, and he's going about his usual Kshatri business, the business of a warrior, and he sees a deer, and he's out hunting. And as he fires that bow towards the deer, he pierces that deer's stomach and kills it instantly. Now, for any of you that have watched films or any of you that are familiar with hunting, the second thing you do after you kill the animal is clean out its inside so you can either take the meat from it or use the skin for whatever you need to. So as Lakshman Das went over to cut out all the guts, cut out all the insides of that deer, as soon as he ripped through that stomach of that deer, that female deer, out came 2 little babies. And upon seeing those little children slither out of that stomach sac, he was also pierced with a deed. He was also pierced with an arrow. And that was the arrow of realization of what he was actually doing by not only killing the mother, but he'd actually killed the babies that were yet to be born. And this really, really affected Lakshman Das from a young age. And at this time, he was around 15, 16 years old. And upon seeing that sight, upon experiencing that, his heart went cold, his hands went numb, and he dropped his bow and arrow that moment and renounced the Kshatri lifestyle that he'd been brought up in. So from that moment on, he realized that he'd done a paap, he'd done a kukaram, by innocently killing those 2 children that weren't even born yet. And he left the life he was living, and he went, as you can say, to go and find God. He went to go and find inner peace. So So he renounces the world, and now we come into the second part of Lakshman Das's life, where he attains the second name of Madhu Das Bairagi. So he spends 1 year after leaving home trying to find someone that will attach him to fill that hole that's now been planted within his heart, that hole of bairag, that hole of emptiness, that hole of regret, as many of us sometimes may have within our lives as well, when we do a bad deed, when we say something we shouldn't have, when we do something we shouldn't have done. So many a time, this isn't mentioned, but Lakshman Das found 3 gurus. So it wasn't just one person he took spiritual wisdom from. And the first of those gurus was Janaki Prasad. And this guru he finds and stays with Janaki Prasad for quite a while. And this is where the name Madhu Das Bairagi actually comes from. Janaki Prasad gives him the name Madhu Das Bairagi. And one of the reasons he changes his name is because he's worried that if his parents find out and the name of Lakshman Das starts to get around, then his parents will easily be able to find him and call him back home. So you can say Janaki Prasad kind of wants him to himself, so the name gets changed. The second guru is Ram Das, not to be mistaken for Guru Ram Das Maharaj, but this man's name was also Ram Das. And then the third, and you can say most pivotal guru, was Yogi Augarnath, who actually gives him the famous Riddhya Siddhya, who gives him the famous powers, magical powers, spiritual powers that we hear about within the Sakhiyan of today. And he gives him these Riddhya Siddhya, which are basically magical powers, tantras, mantras, which allow him to do all sorts of things, I will talk about in a second. But upon meeting all of these 3 gurus and submitting himself to all of these gurus, he doesn't find any contentment, he doesn't find any peace. And that hole that had been made from killing that innocent deer and its 2 children was still there, and if not even bigger. Within Japji Sahib here, Riddha Siddha Avrasad, that even the Riddhya, even the Siddhya that can be attained from this spiritual path, Avrasad, they have no swad, they have no essence to them, they bring me no anand, they bring me no taste. And that was the state of Madhu Das Bairagi at this point. But instead of continuing on that path of Bairagi, instead of continuing on that path to find Waheguru and fill that hole that was inside of him, the mantras, the tantras, the Riddhya Siddhya got the better of him, and they took forth within his mind, and they came to the forefront. So ego was brought out of this. He had powers to read people's minds, he had powers to see people from far away, he had powers to flip people, he had powers to use someone's body however they'd like. And these things started to not only bring him fame, but bring him power by scaring the hearts of others, so that they wouldn't dare step up to him and everyone would submit to his will. In essence, making himself a so-called guru. So he takes on the ashram, he takes on the place where his third guru, Yogi Augarnath, was staying, and he becomes the head of that place, which is close to the banks of the river Godavari in Nandir, now known as the Sri Hazur Sahib, Sachkhand Sri Hazur Sahib. And he starts humiliating people, he starts growing his fame, and he would have a nice buried manja within that asthan, and he would call people and say, what looks to be out of satkar, what looks to be out of respect, say, please come and sit on my manja, I'm giving my space up for you, please come and sit down, let us give you some pani, let us give you, let's do your seva. And as soon as that pandit, as soon as that sadhu, as soon as that holy person would come and sit in the ashram on that manja, then within a second he would use the Riddhya Siddhya to turn them upside down and do their besti, not only in front of Lakshman Das's followers, but in front of that holy man's followers as well. So either 2 things would happen: that holy man would run away and never come anywhere close to Lakshman Das, or that holy man would become a disciple of Lakshman Das, and again the fame continues to grow. So this is what he was up to in those days. So now we move on to quite a special part of Banda Singh Bahadur's life, meeting with Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. So now, just to put into context where Guru Gobind Singh Ji is within their life, all the battles had taken place, and they were heading down from Punjab to their final resting place, to the place where they left Sachkhand at Takht Sri Hazur Sahib in Nandir. So just a quick idea for you guys, Punjab is kind of at the north region of India, and Nandir is by Aurangabad, Maharashtra, right down the south, so it's quite a long journey. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, coming from Delhi, as they pass from Delhi, as they're going down south, and they come across a Sant Jairam. And this Sant Jairam has been humiliated by Madhu Das Bairagi, by being actually embarrassed in front of his followers through the Riddhi and Siddhiya by putting him upside down and making a fool of him. And he warns Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, he says, Maharaj, there's a man buying there on the riverbanks who's got an ashram there, and his name is Madhu Das Vairagi. He has many, many powerful tantra mantras, and these things allow him to possess people and humiliate them, as he did with me. And he does a benti to Guru Sahib saying, Maharaj, please, please, please don't go there. And he's doing it with a good intention because he doesn't want Maharaj to be embarrassed. He doesn't want the besti of Guru Gobind Singh Ji to be done. But obviously he didn't have the foresight of seeing that no one could ever touch Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And they didn't have the sight to see the power that was contained within Guru Sahib themselves. Guru Parameshwar ek ho jaan. Know that the Guru and the Parameshwar Vaheguru are the same. So Vaheguru's created the power, so how on earth could the power actually possibly affect them? And Guru Sahib says, well, if there's someone annoying people, if there's someone troubling people, then Sarda Faraj Banda. It's our duty to actually go there and deal with it as required. So Guru Sahib insisted on going to that place. So the standard thing happens, and as Guru Sahib comes with the Singhs, Madhu Das has actually gone out on another errand. And as Guru Sahib gets there, he jumps onto that takht, he jumps up onto that manja and sits down where Banda Singh Bahadur, Madhu Das Vairagi would normally sit. And one of his followers run to Madhu Das at the time and explain the situation that all of these people have come out of nowhere, they're making a fuss, and their leader has sat on your throne. And from a far distance, Madhu Das Vairagi tries to use his spiritual powers to lift and see what was happening and to lift up Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. They tried when he came of a veil, they thought this is a bit weird. These things normally happen straight away. Someone's birthday normally done in the first instance. So they thought maybe our power isn't working from a long distance. So they get to the ashram, they get to the place where Guru Sahib was. And they try in front of Guru Sahib again. And they also try and use their powers to try and actually kill the Singhs. Nothing comes of a veil. And having a life of success when trying these things with other people and now facing defeat, they realize that this is no ordinary human. This is no ordinary sadhu, this is no ordinary man. This must be Vaheguru themselves. And upon actually realizing and having that light bulb moment, they fall to the feet of Guru Sahib, realizing the massive galti, mistake they've done. And they submit to Guru Sahib, and at that point Guru Sahib says, who are you and who's your Guru? And we all hear the famous lines of saying, I'm your Banda. And then Guru Sahib later gives them the name of Banda Singh Bahadur. Bahadur meaning a brave warrior, strong warrior. And also Singh being a Sher, or the Singh of the Guru. But there's another point that normally gets missed out of Itihas, and that is the second question where Guru Sahib asks, who's your Guru? Who have you learnt all these things from? And Madhu Das Vairagi, at the feet of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, grasping onto them, begging for forgiveness, says that my Guru who's given me these Riddhiyan Siddhiyan, and whose ashram, whose takht, whose place we're actually staying at now, his name was Yogi Awarnanath. And Guru Sahib says, where is he? I don't see him here. And Madhu Das Vairagi says, oh, he passed away quite a while ago, so I took on the Jathedari, I took on the leadership of this place. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, can you see him now? Can you tell me where he is now? And Madhu Das Vairagi is thinking, he's dead, I can't see him. And then he realizes that, oh, Guru Sahib has the power to see where people have gone past their lives. And he said, Maharaj, tusi kirpa karo. You have this power, you have this drishti, you have this sight to see past, beyond this human life. Please tell me where they've gone. And at that point, Guru Sahib says, there's a drakht over there, there's a tree. Go over there, and there's a lal fal, a red fruit, very ripe fruit. Bring it to me. And Madhu Das is thinking, where's this going? But he thinks, chalo, let's go. And as he comes and approaches that tree, that drakht, as Guru Sahib says, he sees that red fal, sees that red flower, ripe and red, and he picks it up and he brings it to Guru Sahib. And Guru Sahib says, look what's in it. He goes, inside that fal you'll find an ant. That ant is your star, that ant is your Guru, that ant is Yogi Awarnanath. And he cuts open that red fruit, and to his surprise, Guru Sahib's bhajan comes true, as they always do. And then he still got a bit of shanka within his mind, he still got a bit of doubt, thinking, well, it could have just been a lucky guess. So Guru Sahib says, if you really want to believe that it's him, call his name and see what happens. And as Madhu Das calls his Guru's name, Yogi Awarnanath, the kira, the ant starts wriggling its hands and legs and starts screaming, starts whinging, starts whining as a little ant does. Sometimes you may hear the ant noise. I'm not going to try and say it because I'm going to make a fool of myself. But you can YouTube it if you desperately want to hear it. So that ant starts squirming and squealing and shakes its legs and hands. And at that point, Madhava Vairagi realizes that this is my guru. And then he's thinking, oh my God, if this is my guru, what on earth is in store for me? Because I've followed what they've done. I'm from the same line, I'm from the same life, and I've been making a fool of many people just like they did. And at that point he thinks, Maharaj, my guru had so many shakti, and how did this come upon him? And they realized that from the bad things that they were teaching and also doing with their life, they were given the life of an ant. And that's also a reminder to us that our day will be coming soon. So our deeds will be taken into account, just as Yogi Amarnath's deeds were, just as everyone's are. So let's remember that ourselves as well. Then secondly, it's not all doom and gloom, because at that point Guru Maharaj says, don't worry, he's had my darshan now, and this will be his last June, this will be his last life. Because of my darshan, because literally darshan means seeing. Just because he saw my face, such is the power of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, that just by looking at them, they gave mukti, they gave liberation to even ants, to even people that had done bad in their past lives. Guru Sahib didn't leave anyone behind. And they said this will be the last June. And as soon as Guru Sahib finished that sentence, that ant died and passed away. And they said, now your Ustad, your old Guru, has gone to Sachkhand. Such is the power of even coming to the Gurdwara and just coming to see Guru Granth Sahib Ji, coming to see that same Guru, coming to see that same light that was in Guru Gobind Singh Ji, that's now Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So then at that point, now Banda Singh Bahadur is 100% fully fledged. They've seen the power of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And they've realized that Guru Sahib is the most Dayalu Kripalu, the most merciful, the most passionate, and the most forgiving of nature. And they fall to their feet with tears coming out of their eyes and say, Maharaj, please, 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 give me a bhajan. Please tell me what to do with my wasted life. And at that point, Guru Sahib says, if you're a Banda, then do Bande wala kaam. Then do something a man should do. Go and take justice, take Amrit, and I'll give you a seva myself. And we all know Sadhu Sangati, what that seva was. That was a seva that we're going to be talking about today. That's a seva we'll be talking about for many years to come. And that's a seva that's highlighted within the realms of history. So he takes Amrit, and after submitting at that point, Guru Sahib puts their hand upon their head and shows them the Shahidiyan of the Char Sahibzade, the four sons of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, Baba Ajit Singh Ji, Baba Jujhar Singh Ji, who were Shaheed at the Battle of Tumkaur, where 46 took on 1,000,000 Mughals. We hear of 300, where the Greeks took on hundreds of thousands, 300 Greeks took on hundreds of thousands of Persians. But Sadhu Singh Ji, have we ever looked into our own Itihas where 46 took on 1,000,000 Mughals? And imagine what a film about that would be like. And then secondly, the youngest sons of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Baba Zorawar Singh Ji, Baba Fateh Singh Ji, the age of 6 and 8, who were bricked alive in Sirhind at the hands of the Mughal Empire. And just cast your minds back to those two little bache that were bricked alive. And history writes that Baba Zorawar Singh Ji left the city quite quickly, but Baba Fateh Singh Ji, at the age of 6, with bricks clattered all over them, their throats being slit, their feet were moving for 12.5 minutes before they left their city. Now I've got nieces and nephews that are 6, 7 years, 3, 4 years old. And when something bad happens, it pierces me, so I can't even start to imagine what it would have been like to see the throats of the young Shahibzade slit open from Jalaluddin and Jalaluddin, from Shishal Beg and Vishal Beg. And Madhav Das Bairagi is seeing the scene that you're all witnessing within your imaginations now. And this inspires him to take on the seva that Guru Gobind Singh Ji is about to bestow upon them. The seva of going to destroy Han, and the seva of going to uproot the Mughal Empire. And this gives him determination not only in this first step, but throughout his life and throughout the conquest he sets upon. Now just on that first thing we talked about, because Gurbani is our foundation and Gurbani is our end product. Gurbani is everything for us. So I'm going to try and put a bit of Gurbani within this so we can kind of relate it to our lives today as well. And we hear Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj say, Nab Nidhi 18 Siddhi, Ichha Lagya Fere, Jo Har Hirday Sada Vasai. So we talked about these powers and how they affected all the holy people, but they didn't even touch Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And that power didn't exist Though then that power still exists now, that khajana, that treasure chest of power is still sitting downstairs in the Darbar side. And Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj gave us that promise. Many of us nowadays may feel scared of the black magic or the jadoo that our parents in India talk about constantly, taga pala, otherwise naitna gaddi nahi chalni. Put a little black taga on your exhaust, otherwise khatam ho. We see these things, and Guru Sahib has told us when a kid's born, the first thing that needs to go in their ear for protection is Waheguru, and the first thing they need to do is go to the Gurdwara. But yet we put a tikka on them and we put a city black taga around their foot. The Guru Sahib is giving us this confirmation that Nav Nidhi, the 9 treasures of the world, Atare Siddhi, the 18 Siddhi and the 18 magical powers that can be obtained, such as Madhu Das Bairagi had. Piche lagiya fire, piche means behind, lagiya fire. They constantly follow that person who, Jo har hirday sada vasai, Jo, that person, har hari, meaning Waheguru. Sada means at all times. It doesn't mean just on a Sunday when you come to the Gurdwara. And I'm not saying don't come to the Gurdwara on a Sunday, but don't let it be just that. Sada means every time, when you're having good times and when you have, not just when you're having bad times. Sada Vasai. Vasai means to embed within your mind. So that person that keeps Waheguru in their head, that person keeps Waheguru with them. Now we've seen from Guru Gobind Singh Ji that these things don't affect Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So if Guru Sahib, if Waheguru is with us, these things won't affect us either. Okay, I'll put that a bit early, apologies. And just secondly, a massive thing that comes up, forgiveness from the Guru. Now I came into Sikhi about 3-4 years ago, as many of the things in this room did. And for those of you that are probably thinking of embarking upon the path of Sikhi, the khayal that comes in your mind, the thought that comes in your mind, guaranteed is, am I good enough? And even for us that look like we're into Sikhi, we're in Karpana, Amritaris, we have the same thought every day, am I good enough? And the Sakhi we've just gone through, Banda Singh Bahadur tried to do Guru Sahib's besti, but even then Guru Sahib not only freed them, they freed their Guru as well. Such is the kirpa of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, such is the kirpa of a Satguru, a true Guru. And we hear within Gurbani, Guru Sahib knows that we're going to make mistakes daily, nightly. And Guru Sahib's covered that for us as well. There's nothing they've left. And we hear within Gurbani from Guru Amar Das Ji again, saying, Asi khate bahut kamavade, antana baravar Waheguru Amir. It auto changes the repeaters for apologies for that. Har kirpa har karka baksala, how papi vadi gunahar. So Asi, we khate bahut kamavade, we make many mistakes. Antana baravar, there's no limit to our mistakes. And everyone has their personal mistakes, whether it's a small one, whether it's a big one. A mistake is a mistake. Har kirpa karke baksala hai. Kirpa karke, with your grace, Guru Sahib, please bless me. Baksala. Forgive me. Hum papi vadi gunahagar. I'm a gunahagar. I have no good of myself. I have no good virtues. Hum papi. I'm a papi, I'm a sinner. And Guru Sahib does this ardas for us. They're telling us what to say. So we've literally got it on a plate. And again, if you're thinking, no, I've done too many bad things to come into Sikhi, if Banda Singh Bahadur's example was enough, then we've got many examples. We've got Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Gurdasiyan going to the worst of the worst places, such as Sajjan Thug, who would rob holy people and throw their bodies in the well at night. Guru Sahib not only forgave them, they turned them into saints. We have people at Orda Raksh who would eat people for lunch, dinner and breakfast. I'm hoping none of you guys are cannibals. So hopefully we'll be okay in that sense. So don't ever think that we're too bad, or Guru's arms are not open for us. They're always open. It's up to us whether or not we want to go and take that hug. Okay, so just moving on. Any questions so far? Okay, so now the blessings from Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. So there was a budget to take Amrit, as we said earlier. They had a glimpse, had a vision of the Shahidiyan, of the Char Sahibs, that they would spur them on to the task that they established within their life, they accomplished within their life. And then at that point, they said, Maharaj, Guru Sahib gave them the mission of going to uproot the Mughal Empire, starting from Sirhind. Now Sirhind, what does it actually mean? Sir means the head, or the highest place of Hind, of Hindustan. So it wasn't just a little village like Smethwick or Hansford. It was a whole city, it was a fortress, It was one of the most valued states within the Mughal Empire. So it was no easy task. And Banda Singh Bahadur said, Maharaj, how on earth am I just going to go there and do this thing you're saying? And Guru Sahib smiled and said, look up to the sky. At that point, Banda Singh Bahadur looked up, and they saw thousands upon thousands of Singhs sitting there, standing in Neele Bani, Dastara, tied to the Madi, Barshant, Talwara, Tiyar par Tiyar, ready. Guru Sahib said, those are our Faujan, they're going to do the job, not you. And just quickly, a Saki comes to mind, similarly, of people that are waiting to come and help. And just like Banda Singh Bahadur at that point thought, how am I going to do this seva? Many of us, even now, think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this camp talk? How am I going to do this seva? How am I going to watch the Pandey in the Gurdwara? Whatever it is, however small or big it may be. But we don't actually do anything. Hands up if you've played Monopoly before. Hopefully everyone of us, I'll be a bit worried. Who always chooses the car or the dog? Yeah? Does that car or dog move itself? Who moves it? The player who rolls the dice, who chooses where it's going. Guru Sahib is the one that's rolling our dice. Guru Sahib is choosing what we're going to do. We're just that little dog, we're just that little aeroplane, we're just that little boot or whatever it is that's running around. Just like Banda Singh Bahadur was that medium, was that puppet, for the puppet master who's showing this play. So don't ever think, without me the band won't work. Many of us think of this. Harman Singh from Canada, he came a few months ago, and he told us one thing, that don't ever think without me the band won't succeed. Because Guru Sahib will just get another Monopoly character, Guru Sahib will just get another puppet. If Guru Sahib gives us a chance to do something, it's not to be missed. Because if we don't do it, someone else will. The band is going to flourish with or without us. So now you've come here, you could have gone anywhere, and don't think that you brought yourselves here because Guru Sahib rolled the dice for you to be here today. So don't just let it end here. And just a similar Saki about Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji Khalsa Pindrawale, who was the 12th Mukhi, the 12th leader of a university set up from the time of Guru Gobind Singh Ji called Damdami Taksal. And today is the, we remember the Barsi, which is why I'm going to talk about this Saki very quickly, about the higher powers that are helping us within this faith of Sikhi. So if we cast our minds back within the 20th century, within the 1900s, and Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji, they were walking around from Kaur side, and the mind came into a lot of Bairag, and they walked around 50 miles toward Kiratpur side, the city that's quite famous today, and they were doing their meditation, they were in their dhyan, in their bhakti, and their eyes closed, and as they were walking, they came across these pahar, these mountains, these hills, and within these hills there was a small gap, and they could see a glimpse of light from the other side. So they started walking towards it, and as you see the light at the end of the tunnel, they came out and there was this massive plant, this massive field array of grass, and they could see shorty and nadiyan, little streams of river, and by the rivers there was loads and loads and loads of trees. And as they got closer, they start to see these things hanging off the trees. First they look like fruit, but as they get closer they're quite sharp. And as they're approaching these trees, they start to see these figures, and these aren't human figures, these things are massive. And they get closer and closer, and they come to the trees to the point where their visibility increases, and they see that things hanging off the trees are actually shastar, they're talwara, they're barshe, they're weapons. And Sanji's thinking, what's going on here? And then as he's walking towards the trees, one of the figures calls him. He says, Gurbachan Singh, Idra. Calls them by the name, Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji's name, says, come over here. And as he approaches his figure, it starts to take on the shape of a Singh. He's thinking, who is this that's hiding behind these caves? And at that point, they're thinking, they called me by their name as well, so it must be quite a Jaldi Garagur Sikh. And Santi asked them, who are you? And they said, I'm Baba Mandeep Singh Ji. There is Bhai Taru Singh Ji. There are all the other Shaheed Singhs. And at this point, Baba Ji was up. You can imagine the excitement they're going through. And they say, what are you guys doing here? And there are thousands upon thousands of Shaheed Singhs just sitting there. And they said, we're waiting. And at that point, Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji said, what are you waiting for? And they said, we're waiting for the hukum from Guru Sahib to send us back down. So there are powers at play beyond our sight. And many Sakya, even in Jarasi of Shaheed Singhs, spirits of Shaheed Singhs coming to save people, the stories are countless. So that was taken from a book which is being released tomorrow actually, called Gyan Kirna, which is the biography of Sant Gyani Gurbachan Singh Ji, Khalsa Pindrawale. And tomorrow the Barsi will be selling that book here. So that was from there. So please do buy it and read Babaji's life. They revolutionized Sikhi as we know it, and the Prachar of Sikhi, sorry. So whether it was 300 years ago, 80 years ago, that support is still waiting for us. And Guru Sahib in Sarabul Bani tells us that as long as the Khalsa sticks to what I've given them, my power resides within them, and my power will rain down upon them. So the blessings of Guru. So Guru Sahib has said to Banda Singh Bahadur, don't worry, you're not going to be doing much. It will be done for you. All you need to do is just go. So Guru Sahib bestows upon them 5 deed, 5 power, magical deed, you could say, 5 magical arrows. They also give them a khanda, and there's something quite funny about this khanda, because Guru Sahib gives them their own khanda, and the other Singhs get a bit jealous, a bit envious, and they think, we've been here for so long, we wanted that khanda of Guru Sahib, and they actually snatch it off Banda Singh Bahadur. And Banda Singh Bahadur goes over and says, Maharaj, they've taken my nishani that you've given me. And Guru Sahib starts laughing, and they say, now the Singhs have finally gotten to the mindset I want them to be in. Now they've taken with force what was rightfully theirs. So Guru Sahib, even from these little kahaniya, are setting the Singhs up ready to fight the Mughal Empire. They also give them Panj Singh, Baba Binod Singh, who's the Jathedar, who later went on to be Buddhidal Jathedar. Bhai Ran Singh, Bhai Daya Singh, not from the Panj Pyare, different Bhai Daya Singh. Bhai Baj Singh and Bhai Gan Singh. And they said, whenever you need my power, whenever you need my assistance, get these Panj Singh to do Ardas, and I will be Hajir, I will be there, and you will have my blessings. And that didn't just end with Banda Singh Bahadur, that still exists today. And many people question, oh, Panj Singh da ki barna. But Guru Sahib, even from those days, have given power to 5 Amritari Singhs, 5 Chardi Kala Singhs, 5 Ratwale Singhs. That when 5 Singhs come together, the roop of Guru Gobind Singh is there. Hence why you have a Panj Singh Ardas. Hence why you call 5 Singhs over to your house and give them, do their seva. Hence why there's 5 Singhs in the Amrit Sanchar. Any questions? You guys are quite quiet. Okay. So towards Punjab, so they've got the blessings of Guru Sahib. Now the mission has begun. So Banda Singh Bahadur sent out Hukamname, a few we'll see later on as well, to all these main Sikh leaders at that time to come and support them on this voyage, to come and support them on this campaign of uprooting the Mughal Empire. Now 2 of the quite famous Sikhs, Ali Singh and Mali Singh, who had actually come from being employees of the court of Wazir Khan, they also come and meet Banda Singh Bahadur with a few of the Singhs. And the story behind them was that Wazir Khan recognized they were Sikhs, and he kind of taunted them to say, this man who thinks he's the new Guru, obviously Banda Singh Bahadur didn't, but that's their way of referring to him. He said, this man dares to come and attack Sirhind. He goes, why don't you go and join them if you dare? He had this much faith that Banda Singh Bahadur was going to fail, and that these 2 would meet their death if they met Banda Singh Bahadur. He challenged them to go meet them. So they left by saying, if Guru Sahib has given him the power, then your rule will be no longer. So they came and met Banda Singh Bahadur. So cutting a long story short, as they're progressing towards the middle of India now, the top half of India, as they get to Delhi, they have about 7,000 or 8,000 people that have joined them, 7,000 or 8,000 Singhs that have joined them. And at this point they've run out of Maya, because it's not cheap to run an army of 7,800, 8,000 people. And at this point, they realized the Bachana Guru Gobind Singh Ji saying, whenever you require something, get those Panj Singhs to do Ardas, and I'll be there, and you'll have my full support. So they asked Baba Binod Singh, Kirpa karke Ardas karo, that we get some Maya, that we get some langar for these things, and our campaign continue, even before it started. And as they're doing that Ardas, we heard Nanak Naam, Tardi Kala, Teri Pane, Sarabat Dapala, the Singhs come from a place called Labana. They come with their daswan that they've been kept for years upon years. As soon as the Ardas finished, a Singh comes and says, Babaji, we heard the call, we got the Hukamnama, and we've kept this daswan Jama for quite a while. Now we give it to you, now we give it to the Khalsa. And that money was plentiful in every sense. They had langar, they had many rupees, and that kept the Khalsa going. And that also gave haunsla, that also gave a bit of anak, that also gave a bit of, what do you call it? That also gave Banda Singh Bahadur a bit of confidence that Guru Sahib is actually with them. And that was kind of the icing on the cake, if you like to say. Just another quick sakhi I'm going to talk about on the power of an ardas, because today is the Avtar Purab of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, our 6th Guru, who actually gave us the Akal Sena, who actually bestowed upon us Miri and Piri and made us into Surveer, made us into a martial race. And a quick sakhi came to my mind when typing this up about Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj and the power of an ardas, as we heard about with Banda Singh Bahadur. So there's a famous Gursikh called Baba Bidi Chand, who you may have heard of, and their Shastra are still available to see today as well. And Baba Bidi Chand was quite famous at the time of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji and later, because he robbed back 2 of the Persian horses that were stolen from Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. And there's another sakhi that goes with it, and the sakhi is that there were some Singhs coming from Kabul, and their kapade, their bastar were robbed by the Mughals, and Guru Sahib had sent Baba Bidi Chand to go and retrieve them. And Baba Bidi Chand used to be a thief, so he was very good at these kind of things. And as he got to that Mughal place where they were keeping him, he said to the women there that, I'm a trader, and he got in. And as soon as he got in, he pulled out his tawar and threatened them and took the kapade. Now as he's retreating back from that place, as you can see here with his bag, he's looking for a place to hide because the Mughals are chasing him in full force. Now he comes across this stand, and it's kind of like someone's making popcorn in those days. The Singhs told me this. I was privileged enough to stay in India for a few months last year, so I took these pictures myself. And he comes across this man who's making some popcorn on top of a kiln, as you can see here. And there was no gas, there was no HP cookers then or whatever. It was just a nangiag. And he says, well, I haven't got really anywhere to hide, but you can jump in here if you want. And hastily thinking, he thinks, I've got nowhere else to go, the Mughals are coming behind me. And he jumps in. And at that point, his dhyan, his focus goes onto Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj and does that ardas. He says, Guru Sahib, I'm here as your banda, I'm here as your Sikh. I don't know how, but kirpa karke rakhya karo. Please protect me. And at that point in the darbar of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, they called all the Singhs to quickly go and get some thanda pani, to get some cold water. And the Singhs were like, maybe Maharaj wants a drink or whatever. They bring the pani over, and now Guru Sahib says, quickly throw it on my head, throw it on my sareer. The Singhs are thinking, what? They thought to the Sat Bachan, and they listen to the Guru's commands. And as Guru Sahib is feeling the coolness of that water upon their cheeks, upon their body, they're actually transferring that coolness to Baba Bidi Chand, who's sitting far away, who's sitting with their concentration in the feet of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. And minutes went by, these guys came and asked, and they passed. And Baba Bidi Chand came out with not one burn on his skin. So that was just another sakhi on the power of an ardas. And later on, from that same lineage of Baba Bidi Chand, we hear of Bhai Avtar Singh Brahma, who in the village of Malarkotala, when 20,000 officers came against him, he escaped that battle with bullet-ridden Chola, bullet-ridden Dastar, but not one bullet had actually pierced his skin. Same ardas is done to Baba Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. So power of ardas, very powerful. Okay, so now they're rallied troops, and Baba Banda Singh Bahadur is marching towards Punjab. But they realize that Sirhind is a massive city for the Mughals, and it's not going to be easy to just run in, because around the ilaka, around the area of Sirhind, there are many other Faujedars, there are many other kings, there are many other generals that Wazir Khan could easily call upon. So they think that before we get to the heart of the Mughal Empire, one of the hearts of the Mughal Empires, we need to hit the arteries. We need to take down a few of their allies, so that when we go to attack Sirhind, not many people can come and back them up. So first they approach Kaithal, and there they rob the Shahi Khajana of the Mughals. There was a tax haven there, you could say, places there where tax were collected for the Mughal Empire, and the Singhs did kabja of that. Next they went on to a pretty famous part of Banda Singh Bahadur's Itihas in Samarna. which is in Malwan. That was kind of their first documented victory. And it was a very, very, very wealthy city. And this sent shockwaves into the Mughal Empire that Banda Singh Bahadur means business, because he's taken over Samana and he's killed 10,000 Mughals within that episode. And also something to note, within Samana, there were a lot of Amir Bande, there were a lot of very, very wealthy heads of states for the Mughals. And also, people to note in particular was Jalaluddin, who actually executed Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj in Delhi. Shishal Beg and Bashar Beg, who were actually the culprits of killing the Chhote Sahibzade in Sirhind. These people were dealt with within Samana. Now Wazir Khan is literally shaking in his boots, because the threats that were given to him before he took no notice of, because there was no success behind it, there was no essence behind it. But now a statement had been put out that the Singhs mean business, and they're not going to stop anyway. They're not going to stop for anything. So he starts to prepare, and he starts to call on all upon his allies, because he knows that the Singhs are coming to avenge the Chhote Sahibzade. Next day, we go to a place called Sadore, and there is one Usman Khan who's ruling and endangering and causing pain, inflicting pain upon all the local people. The Hindus are being treated very badly. And also this man, he was responsible for the killing of Pir Buddhu Shah. Pir Buddhu Shah was a Muslim who had faith in Guru Sahib, and when Guru Gobind Singh Ji's first jang, the Battle of Pangani, they actually sacrificed their 4 sons, Pir Buddhu Shah did. And in return, you're probably thinking Guru Sahib must have given them something amazing. And Guru Sahib did. They offered him, said, Pir Buddhu Shah, ask for anything you want. And Pir Buddhu Shah had that much nimrata in them. They said, Guru Sahib, whatever you've got in your hand, sanu de do. At that time, Guru Sahib was combing their case. So by trading 4 sons, they got Guru Sahib's case. That was the sharda, that was the pyar that Pir Buddhu Shah had. And he was killed by Usman Khan. And now we're about 1709 in terms of dates. He was also killed. So just a second part of the battle, the build-up to Sirhind, and the meaty bit, if you want to say. So in Ropar, quite a famous jang took place as well. So the Hukamname were sent out, and there were 2 Sikh that were two bands of Sikhs that were quite strong in numbers. The Majal Sikhs and the Duabe Wale Sikhs, Duabe obviously being the state. And the Majal Sikhs were very, very feared by the Mughals because of their past record with the Mughals and their strength. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji themselves said that the Majal Singhs will join you, because they'll be a force to be reckoned with within the Khalsa. Now these guys are on their way to meet Banda Singh Bahadur, and Wazir Khan finds out about this, and he's already terrified. And he thinks, these guys haven't got many numbers compared to us. In each battle, the Mughals were outnumbering them by 3 to 5 times the amount of soldiers, but they were still winning every battle. And he thinks, if these guys join, we've got nothing left. We are totally finished. So he sends someone to intercept the Majal Singhs and the Duabe Wale Singhs. And just as they pass over the river Satluj, they get to a place called Ropar. And he sends Nawaz Sher Muhammad Khan of Mal Kotala to intercept those people. Now just something to note as well, Sher Muhammad Khan, he was actually in the court of Wazir Khan when the Chhote Sahibzade they were given their sentence to be killed. And he actually protested against it, saying that we have no hatred against young kids at the age of 6 or 8. But his protests were landed upon deaf ears. And because of this, as we'll hear later on, Guru Sahib gave a bhajan that no Singh is to harm the village of Malad Kotla, where Nawab Sher Muhammad Khan was from. And later when the Singhs took it over, no one was harmed there, because he protested against the killing of the Chhote Sahibzade. So he sent, and his army, and he was one of 4 brothers, and they were sons of a very, very famous Pathan, whose name was, what was his name? Nahar Khan. He was a very, very famous general, and there were 2 brothers and 2 stepbrothers. The other brother's name was Khijr Khan. And because the Singhs were very, very heavily outnumbered, because these guys didn't come for battle, they just come to join Banda Singh Bahadur, they adopted a guerrilla warfare tactic and wholly broke down that massive army of Sher Nawab Muhammad Khan. And after killing them, the 3 of the 4 brothers were killed. Nawab Sher Muhammad Khan escaped, and he was later killed in the Battle of Sarhand, Chaprachiri. Wazir Khan again fought another blow, and he was devastated at this point. And whilst this was happening, Ropar was taken over as well. Sorry, Dakhan. That should be Dakhan, not Ropar. And he's thinking, these guys aren't stopping. They're definitely coming for Sirhan next. Everything Wazir Khan was throwing at them, whether it was trying to intercept their allies, whether it was trying to put off their food, whether it was trying to influence the locals, nothing was working, because Banda Singh Bahadur wasn't just looking after Sikh, they were looking after anyone that was being attacked, they were looking after anyone that was under the rule of the Mughal Empire and feeling the full wrath of it. Hence, wherever they went and put a divan up, our history writes that in the divans, Singhs would be reading a card with Chandi Diwar, and the local Sangat would come, whether they were Muslim or Hindus, give them langar and do their seva wherever they stopped. So he was kind of like, he was a very famous, very likable person within that time. And obviously news was spreading like wildfire. So now, his next deploy, his next plan, is to try and send someone on the inside. Now there's a man called Suchanand, and he was also there in the court of Wazir Khan in Sarhand. And he was one of the main instigators. He was one of the main people that fed the ears of Wazir Khan to actually break the Shote Sahibzade alive. Initially, under Islamic law, they'd said no. Then at that point, the court asked the Shote Sahibzade and said, what will you do if we let you leave? And the Sahibzade, being near the power, being purely fearless, said, we'll go and get the Singhs and we'll come back and kill you. Imagine being held captive or hostage and someone's pointing a gun to your head and you say, what are you going to do if you leave, if I let you leave? I'm going to don't worry about me. You'll never see me again. Imagine saying to that person, I'm going to come back with my friends and I'm going to shoot you. It's literally crazy. And yet at the age of 6 and 8, the Shote Sahibzade, they had so much anak, had so much jaldi kala within them, that the truth came out even in the most dire of situations. And after saying that, Suchanand was the one that said, the sons of snakes are snakes as well. Hence, these guys are our enemies. We can bypass the law, we can kill them. So that was Suchanand. He had a nephew called Gandanand. Now what Wazir Khan and Suchanand came to plan was that they were going to send the nephew of Suchanand and go and act as a fake ally to Banda Singh Bahadur, to say that we've also been under the scrutiny of the Mughal Empire, now we want to get a vengeance, now we want to take down Wazir Khan with you. So they sent 500 to 1,000 soldiers to meet Banda Singh Bahadur, and Banda Singh Bahadur allows them in. So now we get to the most famous battle, one of the most famous battles, the Battle of Sirhand, which actually took place in Chaprachiri, which is just outside of Sirhand, on the 22nd of May, 1710. So Banda Singh Bahadur sends out a message to Wazir Khan to say, stop being a coward, come out and fight me. Wazir Khan accepts and they meet in the Battle of Chaprachiri. Now Wazir Khan, again, is scared to the bottom of his soul, and he calls everyone he can possibly call, whoever hasn't been destroyed already, whichever cities haven't been taken over by the Khalsa already. And our history writes that there were around 5,000 to 10,000 Singhs, and they were up against 20,000 to 30,000 Mughals. And the Singhs didn't have, weapons of the British force. These guys had barche, these guys had a few bows and arrows, very, very few amount of muskets, talwara, and a few shields. Very jungy. And they were up against the regime at the time, so you can imagine what kind of force they were coming with. And our history writes that they had around 7,000 to 8,000 riflemen, so with banduka, 5,000 to 6,000 cavalry, so people on horses trained, and they had cannons and war elephants. So it's initially looking very one-sided. Plus you've got the spy of Suchanand's nephew with his 1,000 soldiers that can do anything at any time. So the war begins, and Banda Singh Bahadur is initially watching from the top of a hill. And also within the army of Banda Singh Bahadur, you haven't just got Singhs, you've got a few bandits, you've got a few mercenaries, and you've got a lot of people that are there because they're joining onto the bandwagon. And whenever they take over somewhere, they just loot, and they're there just to fill their own baskets really. And when the war actually kicks off and the cannons get fired, the weaklings start to run. these people that weren't really Shardalus of Guruji, that aren't really there for the Khalsa Panth, they start to flee. Now at this point, Gandanand, who was the spy with his 1,000 soldiers, they take it as a perfect chance to make the Sikhs worry and make the Sikhs scared. So half of their soldiers start running as well. So imagine you're in a battlefield and 500 men start running the other way. You're instantly going to think something's wrong, I better get out of here. So a lot of Singhs start running with them, and the other 500 start killing Singhs as well. So it's utter chaos. And Bhai Singh, one of the 5 Singhs that was bestowed by Banda Singh Bahadur, he comes running on horse. He comes on a horse very swiftly to that hill by Banda Singh Bahadur and says, "This is what's happening. We need you in the battlefield now, otherwise we're finished." And accounts write that at that point, remember the Panjtir that Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave? Banda Singh Bahadur used one of these Panjtir, and the power of this tir was such that it created a massive whirlwind and a massive dust storm, such that the enemy wouldn't be able to see, and they would have had to turn their backs. By turning their backs, they started fighting each other. Such was the Shakti of that tir, one tir that Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave to Banda Singh Bahadur. And at this point, he lets that tir off, and then himself comes into the battlefield and kills the nephew of Satyanand, who betrayed the Khalsa. And upon seeing this, all the Singhs get into Chardikla, their spirits are risen, and they again go for round 2 of the battle. Now in the midst of this battle, the Mughals are being slaughtered left, right and centre. And Fateh Singh, one of the 5 Singhs that came with Guru, that was given by Guru Sahib, he shoots a Badshah towards Wazir Khan and injures him and hits him off his horse. And after the Mughals saw that Wazir Khan was down, the rest of them just legged it. The rest of them just ran from the battlefield. And that was the battle of Chaprachiri. There's a lot more to it obviously, but I did the best I could by covering it within 5 minutes. And Wazir Khan was actually dragged around the streets of Sirhind with a nose ring put in his nose and attached to the back of an animal. That was his saja, that was his punishment. So then the Singhs go on into Sirhind, and the first Nishan Sahib of the Khalsa Panth is put at that place where the Sorte Zahibs of there were given Shahidi. And for the first time, Banda Singh Bahadur puts down the Nishan Sahib of the Khalsa, and Raj has been restored for the first time. And that's the memorial that currently exists in Sirhind, Banda Singh Bahadur, and also that Thanda Burj in Sirhind. So now Sirhind has been taken, Wazir Khan has been destroyed. What happens next? Any questions so far? We've got about 10-15 minutes left and we'll finish, if that's okay. So now the aftermath. The Singhs have taken over many villages and many cities. They've taken over Sirhind, one of the major cities of the Mughals, along with Samana, which is also massive as well. So now Banda Singh Bahadur starts to actually practically organize his kingdom, and he sets up Faujidars, he sets up generals in different cities that he's taken over, Ropur, Samana and Sirhind. Sorry, before he does that, there's one more enemy he has to finish off, and those are the hill chiefs, those are the Pahariye. And there were 7 groups of them. And one of the areas was called Kahalur. And they first had the battle with Guru Sahib. And after, we haven't got the time to go into that battle, I know it says there, but we're running short. So after taking that one Alaka, the rest of the Sikhs submitted, and they were just like, no, the guys from Galur, they were making us fight you. We didn't really want to fight you. Whether they were just scared or whether they were telling the truth, that's a different God. But the main fact is that those 7 Alaki were taken over as well. And after, Banda Singh Bahadur practically legitimizes his empire by sending out rulers of certain areas and giving Jatadari to his most trusted Singhs. So Bhai Singh, the one that came and called him in the battle of Chaprachiri, he was given the Faujidari. Singh, who actually took down Wazir Khan, he was given the Faujidari of Samana, and other Singhs were given high-ranking positions as well. So it started to look like an empire now. And many people, Muslims and Hindus, started to become Sikh all over Punjab. Now Delhi, there's a new emperor called Farrukh Shah, and also Wazir Khan has been dead. Zakaria Khan has also come into the equation as well. And just to let you guys know who Farrukh Shah was, he was the one that first put a bounty on the heads of Singhs. He was the first one that said, if you give me a Singh and bring him alive, I'll give you 20 rupees. if you bring me a Singh's head, I'll give you 80. And that was followed on by Zakaria Khan. So this is the kind of man Farrukhshah was. He was the grandson of the son of Bahadur Shah. So in March 1715, the Singhs are blossoming, the Khalsa Raj is blossoming and spreading all over in all four directions. And day after day, the Delhi Sarkar of the Mughals, Farrukhshah keeps getting reports that this place is fallen. Banda Singh Bahadur is taking this place next, and he's getting sick of it. So now, he sends out a hit squad. He sends out a general called Abdus Samad to go and specifically target Banda Singh Bahadur and hunt him down. And he also gives a hukam, he gives an order to every Mughal to support him in whichever way he can. So all the major leaders are supporting this campaign to get Banda Singh Bahadur once and for all. Also, what's to be said as well is, over this 45-year period, the Sikh empire kept expanding, and the Mughals were slowly bringing their troops back together, regrouping and getting ready for round two. And as you guys know with warfares, as the more territory you take on, the more responsibility there comes and the harder it becomes to govern everything. So slowly, things are slightly slipping out of the hands of the Sikh because of the sheer power and the sheer land that we were covering. And the Mughals at that time had a chance to regroup and get ready for the next attack. So now, skipping again quite a bit of Itihas, we get to a place called Gurdas Nangal. And Zakaria Khan, again, he's now the head of the horde. So he's the son of Abdus Samad, who's actually been sent to go and kill Banda Singh Bahadur. So again, Banda Singh Bahadur continues to take over and do qabja of more and more villages. So again, these people, the Faujdars of Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Aurangabad, Kalanur and Kangare all come. So it wasn't just a few people, 3 or 4 people that got together and thought, let's kill Banda Singh Bahadur. This was the whole empire coming together for one final attack. And just to let you know, Aurangabad is the airport you get off when you go to Hazur Sahib. So that's on the other side of India. And this we're talking about in Punjab. So people were coming from that far to come and get Banda Singh Bahadur and the Singhs. So now a report comes into the Mughal court on the 14th to the 17th of April that Abdus Samad has laid siege to Gurdas Nangal. They've trapped the Singhs there. And just like the Kira and Anandpur Sahib, just like the siege at Anandpur Sahib, a similar situation takes place. Now there's around 1,000 Singhs that are defending that Nagar, that are defending Gurdas Nangal. And reports of around 100,000 Mughals had surrounded in all 4 areas. So that not even a grain of rice could come in. So now these Singhs are waiting, and they've been sieged upon for 8 to 9 months. It's one of the longest sieges, along with Sri Anandpur Sahib, of our history. And many of them died from famine, many of them have died from malnutrition, and some reports even say that they got so hungry they started to eat the flesh from their thighs. So history repeats itself, and on the 17th of December 1715, Abdus Samad takes the oath on a Quran and says, if you open the doors, no one will lay a hand on you. Exact same thing that the Bahariya did with the goat, exact same thing that the Mughals did with the Quran at the time of Anandpur Sahib. And Banda Singh Bahadur falls for it, and it's not easy to say, oh, he fell for it and he shouldn't have. You have to remember the state that the Singhs were in. There are only about 200 left now. The rest have died. So from 1,000 to about 200. These guys hadn't eaten for 9 months. We go crazy. We're gonna make an order to Mr. Singhs or whatever it is. Imagine 9 months and seeing your Singhs dying. The morality of the Sikhs would have been very low. The camp would have been very low in spirit. So probably thinking we've got no other option, they opened the doors. And upon opening the doors, when Abdus Samad saw that there were only 200 Singhs keeping us at bay, they felt ashamed, they felt embarrassed, and they felt our basically is going to get done if we go back to Farrukhshah with 200 Singhs, and he's going to be like, these guys kept you at bay for this long. So what they do is, the local villages, they start slaughtering any Sikh they can. so that it looks like they've killed loads more within the battle. And this is actually a eyewitness account of how Banda Singh Bahadur was chained up. I know it's from the movie, but it would have been something very similar to this. Because the news of Banda Singh Bahadur has spread worldwide, not just within India, of the lion and of the powers. Remember, he had those Riddhiya Siddhiya as well. He had the sun and the Sipahi aspect. So he was no one to be messed with. And many of the Mughals didn't even want to come near to him. So he was under full lockdown. So the capture of Banda Singh Bahadur. So first they went to Lahore, and that would give them about a month's time to capture as many Sikh as they could, so that they wouldn't go to Delhi with just 200 Sikh. So they're trying to stall time so that they could look like they won a crazy battle, they won a very even battle. And within that month they got the heads of 3,000 Singhs, and as you can see in this picture, each Mughal would put the head of a Singh on a spear and march towards Delhi. So in February 1716, they finally arrived in Delhi, parading Banda Singh Bahadur and killing many innocents on the way. And these 3,000 Mughals would be marching in front of Banda Singh Bahadur, showing to the world that look what we've left of the Sikh, and look at their emperor now, look at Banda Singh Bahadur, who they dressed in silly kapre, who they made to do silly things, and who was in a cage like an animal. So from the 200 Singhs that were captured, they captured 500 Singhs extra as well, to make it look like we didn't kill all of them, but there were still 700 left that we're going to give to you in Delhi. So this is taken from a PDF that was made by Sri Guru Granth Sahib Academy, an amazing PDF that you should all check out. It's only like 10 pages long, and that was made in commemoration of the Shaheed Purab of Banda Singh Bahadur. So do check it out. And I wouldn't have written it any better myself, so I just printed it. And it talks about John Suman and Edward Stephenson from Delhi, and they report to a man called Robert Hedges. And this is the time of the East India Company when the British had just started to get in, and they were witnesses to all these things. And we hear from the actual account that the rebel guru, referring to Banda Singh Bahadur, his whole attendants, which were left alive, being about 700 and 800, all severely mounted on camels, which were sent out of the city for that purpose, besides about 2,000 heads stuck upon poles, as we mentioned earlier. Being those who died in the sword in battle, he was carried into the presence of the king and thence to a closed prison. He at present and has his life prolonged with most of his studies, that means, in hopes to get an account of his treasure in the several parts of his kingdom, and of those that assisted him when afterwards he will be executed. So the Mughals not only wanted to convert to Islam, but they fully wanted to finish the Sikh off. They wanted to know where all of his allies were, and they wanted to know where all of his forts, his bases, his armories were, so that they could fully finish everything once and for all. Now, an important bit. For the rest, there are 100 days, each day beheaded. So over 7 days, 100 Singhs' heads taken clean off. And we hear that it is not a little remarkable with what patience they also undergo their fate. And to the last, it has not been found that one apostatized from this new form religion. And not one of them gave up Sikhi, not one of them converted to Islam. And this is a quick picture of the procession. So you can see the heads of the Singhs, the Shaheed Singhs being taken, and Banda Singh Bahadur made to look like circus folk within a cage. So Delhi, just got about 10-15 minutes if that's okay with everyone. Then we'll wrap up, promise. So from Delhi there's a market called the Salt Market and Lal Killa, which many of you may have seen in Agra, where they paraded to. So again, 2,000 soldiers with their heads on the spears went in front, and then Banda Singh Bahadur would have been looking something like this, made it to look in silly kapre to try and make a mockery as best as they can of it. And the Singhs also had their faces blackened as well. So when the time came and that 100 a day started, the Singhs would actually be fighting for Shaheedi. Many of us, including myself, would be quivering my boots thinking, oh my God, my time's up. But these guys were in so much dardigula that when a Singh would be called up, they'd be like, no, you stay, I want to go next. I want my time to come now. these guys didn't move an ounce. And just a quick account of what it was like even whilst the Singhs were in prison. Farakshir thought, what's in these guys? He thought, what's in these guys that's not letting them give up their dharm, even in the midst of them losing everything? And he thought, I'll go over with a roti. These guys hadn't eaten in a long time. And he went over to a jail cell. And in that jail cell, there were 3 Singhs. There was an 8-year-old kid, there was a middle-aged Nojwan around 30 years old, and there was a Bazurg, there was an elderly man. And he threw the roti, he threw that prashada towards a younger kid, 8 years old. And that 8-year-old Singh gave it to the 30-year-old and he said, Baji, he goes, Virji, you can fight in battle, I'm only 8 years old, there will be no loss for the Khalsa Panth if I die. And the 30-year-old Singh gives it to the Bazurg, he said, Babaji, we need your guidance. You are what's keeping us. You are the light for our Panth in the future. You have the prashada. And at that point, the Bazurg picked the prashada up and threw it in fucking Farakshir's face. He said, you think this prashada is going to make us split? He goes, you're crazy. We don't even want to eat from the hands of you. And he threw it in the face of Farakshir. Even in the midst of their skin sticking to their bones, they didn't take up prashada. They didn't give in to that. And there's also a study being done as well. Of rats. When you take out the food from rats, they slowly start eating each other. This wasn't the case for the Singhs. Even when they were given food, they didn't take it, let alone fight each other for it. And that satqar was still there. And at that point, Farakshir realized that as long as these guys have love within each other, they're not going to be able to be taken. And similarly, we hear the words of Sant Janal Singh 30 years ago, as long as we have the power of love, there's nothing that can subdue us. Also, in those 700 Singhs, there was one Singh called Kikatarai. And his mom came, shouting to the Mughals saying, no, my son's a Hindu, please don't kill him. And they thought, oh, we must have got a mistaken identity here. And they said, oh, are you a Hindu? If so, we'll let you go. And Kikatarai said, I don't know who that woman is. She's no longer my mother. Don't pay any attention to her. So he gave up his own mom for the Shahidi of Sikh for us to be sitting here today. Now, I'm not saying go and disown your moms or anything like that. What I'm saying is, don't let anything come in the way of Sikhi. At the same time, Guru Sahib has said our first Gurus are our mum and dads. But the sad state of affairs is today is that we get parents that are the biggest enemies of their kids when they're trying to come into Sikhi. And that was one example from Kikatarai. So just finishing off, we hear of the courage of the Singhs, and we can hear, you can see a picture of literally heads just rolling on the floor. And C.R. Wilson, a Bengali civilian at the time, has given his early archives of English in the Bengal the following description of the entry of the Sikh captives into Delhi. So Malice did its utmost to cover the vanquished with ridicule and shame. Without any sign of dejection or shame, they, the Sikhs, rode on, calm, cheerful, even anxious to die the death of martyrs. So they were in pure Jahili. Life was promised to any who would renounce their faith and take on Islam, but they would not prove false to their Guru. And at the place of suffering, their constancy was wonderful to look at. The consistency in the sense of each Singh was ready, lowering their head and saying, bring it on. Me, deliverer, kill me first, was the prayer which was constantly rang in the ears of the executioner. Again, fighting to be shaheed first. Again, you're probably thinking, how do these guys go through so much dukh? As our itihas shows throughout, the answer comes from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj over here, Jiske sir upar tu swami, so dukh ka sa pawa. Whoever Guru Sahib you are standing over, how can any dukh come to them? And you're probably thinking, what's this kind about? Does that not sound like dukh to you? And it is dukh. But the ardas we do to Guru Sahib is not to give us no dukh. Because dukh has come, not just in this life, dukh has been written from our Pishra Janam as well. And that's sometimes something we can't mess with. But what we ask for is, Guru Sahib, don't let me plan my own journey because I don't know what's best for me. Sometimes we need a bit of dukh as well. But the ardas we do is, Guru Sahib, whatever dukh comes my way, whatever sukh comes my way, give me the power to overcome it. Give me the power to keep you in my mind and give me the power to move me on. So now the Shahidi of Banda Singh Bahadur. So those 700 Singhs have been killed. Again, trying to put fear within Banda Singh Bahadur that the same result will happen with you. And also the Sardars, the 20 main generals of Banda Singh, they were also killed as well in front of him. Now Banda Singh Bahadur has a 5-year-old son, Ajay Singh, and he's also brought to Delhi as well. And he's also threatened and he's asked, take on Islam and we'll give you riches, we'll give you kingdoms, just like Wazir Khan tried to persuade the younger Sahibzade in that court in Sirhind. And Ajay Singh has none of it, just as none of the other Singhs did, just as his father didn't. And now to try and scare Banda Singh Bahadur, they took the liver from Ajay Singh, a 5-year-old child. Imagine a 5-year-old child's stomach being ripped open. You know, my nephews or nieces step on something, they'll fall over, they cry, my heart just crumbles. But I couldn't even bear to think about their skin being cut open. And I'm sure you guys can, you know, have the same feelings for your younger loved ones as well. Imagine that 5-year-old stomach being cut open and his liver being taken out. That 5-year-old's body is just dropped and left unconscious. Now that liver is put in the mouth of his father, Banda Singh Bahadur. And even then, he's keeping the Guru. He's keeping his head at the feet of the Guru. He's keeping in Chardi Kula. He's not wavering one bit. And now the executioner is thinking, he's getting frustrated, he's getting annoyed, that he puts pincers in his body. He takes out his right eye, his left eye, chops off his right arm, chops off his left arm, chops off his right foot, chops off his left foot. That literally is only his blood pumping that's left. And then after this, not submitting, he gets so frustrated that with one blow he just kills Banda Singh Bahadur. So even whilst Banda Singh Bahadur was dying, he was still victorious. So just lastly, one of the most famous speeches of Banda Singh Bahadur that he actually said to one of the executioners is that when the tyrants oppress their subjects to the limit, then God sends men like me on this earth to mete out this punishment. Now just a few relics and just the Mahama of Banda Singh Bahadur, the praise of Banda Singh Bahadur, who actually within his rule actually minted coins in praise of Guru Sahib. Now every sarkar, every government will always do their own upama, will always bring their own fame upon themselves. We have a good friend Elizabeth in this country who puts her own face on the notes. But Guru Sahib, Banda Singh Bahadur could have put his own face on the coins, he could have put his own face on the notes. But he said he put Mahama of Guru Sahib. And I'm not sure if you can see that, apologies if you can't. But what it reads is that the Sikh coins are both a commercial necessity and a symbol of sovereignty. Sikh coins were dedicated to their Gurus. The first Sikh coin issued by Banda Singh Bahadur from his bastion, Mukhligarh, in the Siwalik foothills, carried on one side the following inscription. That's over here, the famous line, Sikha Burhal Du Alam Teg, E Nanak Mahab, Asfatah Gobind Singh, Shahin Shah Sachara Sahib Ast. The famous words that we hear. And this actually translates to that the currency of Guru Nanak Dev Ji is valuable not only in this sword but the next sword after. That was what was written on the currency of the Khalsa Raj. And also again, on the other side wrote, Zarababa Anman Urdahe Vasawarak Shahar Zinat Al Taktir Mubarak Bakht. So struck for the security and peace of the world and the walled town of the elegant throne of the best fortune, and also victories of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the King of Kings, by the grace of the true Master. So again, even in the height of his empire, many people would just think, I've done all this. But reverence always went back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji. A few of the Shastra of Banda Singh Bahadur that can still be found today. So again, the currency of Guru Nanak Dev Ji isn't just valuable in this sword, it's valuable in the next sword. That's the currency of doing seva, that's the currency of doing simran. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj gives us a clarity as well, that Satguru Sikh ka halat parat sware. What does a Satguru do for his Sikh? Halat within this world, parat within whatever next world is coming, sware danda. I'm sure your parents have all said, when you've got Prane coming over, thali dali jake swarla shedi shedi. Swarla means to tidy up and to arrange. So Guru Sahib arranges not only everything in this sword, but the next sword as well. If you imagine we have a test at school, if you've got a maths test and a science test, you'd be bonkers to only revise for one of them, because you're going to have 2 exams. Similarly, what we do in this life, we've got 2 tests. We've got the test of this world, and we've got the test of the world that's coming next. But all we do is spend our revision on this world and spend none on the other. Logically, you do 50-50. But even then, Guru Sahib says, don't worry, I'll pass your paper for you. I'll sort it out. I'll give you the answers. And again, you're probably thinking, how did Guru Sahib sort out the life of, how did Guru Sahib sort out the world of Banda Singh Bahadur? He didn't let him fall. He didn't let him fall prey to the Mughals. Even though it looked like a very bad life for the end part, but Guru Sahib still kept it intact by giving them the glory that we're bestowing within here today. So just lastly, a few of the hukumname that basically say that were written by Banda Singh Bahadur, urging the Sikh Sangha to follow the Guru's command of singing the divine glory and keeping the right code of conduct bestowed by the 10th Guru. They implored the Sikhs to join the Khalsa army and to feel Guru's grace. So those are the actual hukumname that Banda Singh Bahadur sent out across Punjab and across India before their campaign. Okay, you're probably thinking, what's this got to do with anything? If you've heard this question before in my talk, sorry. But we talked about currency, and I just want to cast our minds somewhere else for a second. Now, who can answer to me where you can give £1 anywhere in the world and you're guaranteed to get £1 million back? Genuine question. If I give you £1, where can I get £1 million back? Guaranteed. Or someone have a go?
Nowhere. Nowhere.
There's somewhere. Someone have a shot? Come on, don't be shy. You're just going to look at me. Come on, someone give me one more shot, then I'll tell you the answer.
Lottery.
I know.
Lottery's not guaranteed.
I don't know about the world, but with Guruji, you get like one step gives you a minute.
There you go, bingo. So the lottery, good try. But lottery's not guaranteed. The guaranteed lottery is Guru Sahib. Now that's not to say go downstairs and put £1 down and you get a check from Guru Nanak Gurdwara in your mail. That's not. Well, you might. That's some of the community members. If so, let me know. When we face such idea. But the currency is beyond this world, and the currency is the same currency that Banda Singh Bahadur is talking about, and the same currency that Manpreet was talking about. And we hear Charan Sharan Guru Ek Panda Jai, Chal Sadguru Kot Panda Age Hoye Deta Hai. Now, Bhai Gurdas Ji, if any of you guys that don't know, he was the one that scribed Adi Granth with Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the first edition of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And also, Guru Arjan Dev Ji has given them such a padavi, such a status to say that if you imagine Guru Granth Sahib Ji is a treasure chest, now we obviously all want the treasure out of the treasure chest, right? What do you need to open a treasure chest?
Key.
A key. He said the key to opening the treasure chest, that is Guru Granth Sahib Ji, are the writings of Bhai Gurdas Ji. So he isn't just any Banda. So Charan Sharan Guru Ek Panda Jai, that one that comes to the Charan, the Sharan means feet, Sharan means sanctuary of the Guru, Ek Panda. By taking one step, what does Guru Sahib do in return? Jai. Chal Sadgur Kot Panda Age Hoye Deta Hai. Age ho karke. By coming forward to come and meet that Sikh, Guru Sahib takes Kot millions of steps. That deal you won't find anywhere in the world. If I do a favour for Manpreet, and I ask Manpreet next week, actually that won't work with Manpreet because he probably would. If Manpreet asks me for a favour and I do it, then next week I'm thinking, what are we thinking? I'm thinking, yo, Manpreet owes me one now, so next week when I need my wall painting, I'll ask him. And I said, Manpreet, can you come and help me paint my wall? And he's busy for whatever reason. I'm like, nah, I helped you, man, you owe me one. So must see people in this world. If you take one step towards them, they'll just about take a step towards you. Now I'm pretty sure there's no one in this world, if we did one thing for them, they'll do a million things for us. Must you get Bande to do one thing as a trade. Guru Sahib is ushering, that's that deal that you won't find anywhere in this world. You won't find in the luxuries of the Western world, the Eastern world, or even, the poverty of the world, obviously. So take that step. Now Guru Sahib hasn't said, I want a massive step, it has to be 6 meters long. It has to be a long jump. Guru Sahib hasn't said, I want a small step. Guru Sahib is saying, whatever step is in your capability, take it. The baki mein aapke kar lunga. The rest I'll do, the rest I'll sort out. Now the question is, Guru Sahib's done the first thing by bringing you here. The question is now is what's your step going to be? And it's individual. You don't have to copy someone else's step. Whatever is personal to you, whatever is possible for you, just do it. So your step could be cleaning the shoes of the Sangat for 2 minutes when you come. The step could be doing 5 minutes. Did you say when you come to the Gurdwara? Now lastly, learn your history. There's an African proverb that some of you may have heard of before. And it says that until the lion learns to write, the tale of every story will always glorify the hunter. What does that mean? So imagine you got a big fat guy with a big bandook, a big gun in the safari desert. And he sees a lion from far away and he shoots it from a couple hundred meters away. And he goes over to that lion, he takes a selfie with it, puts it on Instagram, tells all his friends, yo, you should have seen me, man. I wrestled that lion down, I took out my knife and stabbed it to death. Was that what happened? What really happened? He just shot it like a coward from miles away. But can that lion post an Instagram story saying, no, he's lying? That lion can't write his own history, so the tale will always glorify the hunter. Now we are those lions that currently, Guru Sahib's Kirpa now recently, things like Guru Granth Sahib Academy and also the Jathebandi have come together, and we're starting to do code, we're starting to look into the ocean that is our history. But until that alliance speaks for itself, the hunter, whether that's the Indian government, whether that's the English government, whether that's the Mughals, they're always going to tell our story. Now you can't write your history if you don't know it. So let's learn it first. Now just lastly, it's not all doom and gloom, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, right at the beginning of Guru Granth Sahib, he says that Jinko Satguru Thapya, then made na sake koi. Whoever has given a tapi, which is literally like a pat on the back, whoever has been established, whoever has been made by Satguru. And there are many gurus in this world. There's math gurus, there's yoga gurus, there's only one Satguru. Sat here does not just mean truth, because I might ask you, is my name Mandeep Singh? You'll say, yeah, that's true. But it's not, because in 100 years, Mandeep Singh will not belong to his body. Sat means true in every time frame, past, present, and future. So that guru will be here in your Pishleka, will be in this life, your next life, and will never be destroyed. And their power is not destroyable either. That's Satguru. Whoever is given the tapi from Satguru, then tenanu met na sake koi. Met means met jana, it's instant to be destroyed. No one can dare to destroy, no one can dare to overcome that one who's going to give him the blessings of Satguru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So for that reason, many have come and all of them have failed, whether it was the Mughals, whether it was the Indian government, whether it was the British, or whoever enemies that will face in the future. They'll all come. We were at a time where there were 200 to 300 Singhs left, yet Singhs went out and still put on barricades on roads. So if they didn't kill us now, we're 25 million strong now. So let's make the most of this chance we've got. So I'm just going to finish with, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. Dhan Guru Sahib, Dhan Guru De Sikh, Dhan Guru De Shaheed. Forgive me for any mistakes. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.